And Dan Goldman, I don't think we have the soundbite queued up, but I think Dan Goldman came out and said, oh yeah, Hunter had nothing to do with foreign governments, but Jared Kushner did. That narrative come up?
Again, I'm not going to get into what came up in this interview today, this deposition, but the idea that Jared Kushner did something wrong is ridiculous. I mean, the Trump family that has been investigated more than any family on the planet, and what they've attempted to do to President Trump and been doing to President Trump over the last 7 years is unbelievable. So, again, I don't want to get into that, but I will say this.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this, Congressman.
So $2 billion from the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, and MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, says that he has Jared Kushner in his pocket. No problem. An additional $1 billion to $1.5 billion from Qatar and the UAE, who basically say the same thing. No problem to Jim Jordan and the MAGA Republicans. But instead, you know, Joe Biden, after he was the vice president and before he was the president, he loaned Hunter Biden $4,000 for a car. That must be some sort of form of money laundering, according to the MAGA Republicans. Or get this, President Joe Biden, when he was the vice president or in between the vice presidency and the presidency, may have given a speech, and in an audience of thousands of people, there may have been someone there from China, or there may have been an oligarch in the audience of a public place attended by 1,000 people. So therefore, according to the MAGA Republicans, President Joe Biden is therefore responsible for things when he's not president of people who are in the audience. Folks, the hypocrisy here is utterly absurd, but it is perfectly what MAGA is all about. And as I was reading the 229-page deposition of Hunter Biden saying, do you know what the difference between meeting somebody is and like what an actual meeting is? And then what you realize, what this is really all about is MAGA Republicans believing that the best defense is going on the offense. So knowing that Donald Trump's engaged in all of this crime and money laundering throughout his entire life and career, bankruptcies after bankruptcy, knowing about Jared Kushner and the actual Trump crime family that exists before our eyes, they just figure, look, if we just focus on Hunter, the media will just portray this as a both sides. On the one hand, you've got Jared Kushner getting $3 billion from Middle East nations and quid pro quos. And on the other hand, you've got President Joe Biden lending $4,000 to buy his son a new car after his son struggling with addiction. I don't know. It seems like a lot going on here, and maybe it's difficult for the media to kind of digest. It's very easy. Let's talk about what's happening. Here is, to be clear, Jared Kushner, and this was good. Axios asked Jared Kushner about the billions he received from the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. And watch how Kushner just so cavalierly goes, are we really going there? Are we really going there? Here, play this clip.
As you said, lots and lots of private equity firms, other folks are trying to raise money from Saudi Arabia and are raising money from Saudi Arabia. Some, however, stopped after the Jamal Khashoggi murder. Some either gave money back or stopped. At the time, you said you wanted to wait for the DNI report, for the kind of official report, for the State Department report, before talking about it. You kind of only give very glancing mentions in your book to it. The DNI report came out a couple weeks after you left the White House. It says that MBS personally was responsible. Do you agree with the DNI? Do you believe that report?
Are we really still doing this, Dan? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
So let's go to this. The way that we looked at our policy at the time was let's focus on what's in the interest of America.
I'm not arguing that. But that you at the time you said you wanted to wait and see what the U.S. government determined. The U.S. government's made a determination. You're obviously still in business with him. Do you believe the U.S. government assessment? You might not, but do you believe it?
So let me say this. I have not seen the DNI report that the Biden administration put out there, right? And number two is, look, I know the person who I dealt with. I think he's a visionary leader. I think what he's done in that region is transformational. I think that when we started working with Saudi Arabia in 2017, I remember getting a list of all the transformative things that they wanted to do. I remember taking it then to Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and saying, do you think there's a chance that Saudi Arabia will start doing these things, allowing women to drive, getting rid of the guardianship rules, reducing the power of the religious police, trying to modernize their economy, giving that next generation hope? They said, will never happen. I'd go to the meetings in the Situation Room. I was the only one who was going because everyone thought that it was going to be a big failure as policy.
And look, there are articles like this one that the Saudi crown prince says that he has Jared Kushner in his pocket. Here's another one, another headline here from The Intercept. Jared Kushner and Ivanka made over $600 million when they were given positions at the White House by Donald Trump. Think about that. $600 million, and they were given positions when Jared Kushner could not even get a security clearance, folks. This was on MSNBC recently. They did a good job here, at least breaking down what the amount of money that Jared Kushner received from the Saudis and from Qatar and from the UAE. Let me show you this video. But here's the thing. This should be the biggest deal ever. But it's like, you got Hunter, you got Jared Kushner. No, it's very different things. Here, play this clip.
Jared Kushner did work in the White House. He worked very hard. It's becoming a little less clear what he actually worked hard at, because after he left the White House, he went out and raised $3.1 billion, that's billion with a B, for a private equity fund. And as you pointed out, he's not a private equity guy. He's a real estate guy. So where did this money come from? Some of it we know from filing, some of it we know from press reports. What we know for a fact is he raised the $3.1 billion. What we also know for a fact is that only about $30 million of it actually came from investors in the United States. All the rest of it is foreign money. And of that foreign money, $2 billion of it came from the Saudis. And not only did it come from the Saudis, but the Public Investment Fund, which is the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, from which this money came, the board of it voted against giving the money to Jared, and they were overruled by MBS, who said, give him the $2 billion. I've been in this business 40 years. I have never seen someone get $2 billion out of $3 billion, get 2/3 of their money from a single investor. Usually a single investor might be a few percent of the fund, might be 5%, occasionally 10%. Never seen this. Another $200 million, we believe, came from Qatar. Another $200 million, we believe, came from the UAE. And then the $625 million that came from foreign investors that we don't even know who they are. So what was Jared Kushner doing in the White House? And by the way, as a fun fact, on January 6th, the famous January 6th, Jared Kushner was in the Middle East.
What if you could support family farmers and reduce your environmental imprint, all while enjoying the highest quality meat on earth? When you join the Moink movement, you can. Moink delivers grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pastured pork and chicken, and sustainable wild-caught Alaskan salmon straight to your door. Moink farmers farm like our grandparents did, and as a result, Moink meat tastes like it should, because the family farm, let's face it, does it better. And the Moink difference is a difference you can taste. Unlike the supermarket, Moink gives you total control over the quality and source of your food. You choose the meat delivered in every box, like ribeyes to chicken breast to pork chops to salmon fillets, and much more. Plus, you can cancel at any time. Moink is helping save rural America. I love it, and you will too. Join the Moink movement today. Shark Tank host Kevin O'Leary called Moink's bacon the best bacon he's ever tasted, and Ring Doorbell founder Jamie Siminoff jumped at the chance to invest in Moink. Plus, they guarantee you'll say, oink, oink, I'm just happy I got moinked. I know I do, and you will too. Keep American farming going by signing up at moinkbox.com/MeidasTouch right now. And listeners of this show get free bacon for a year. That's 1 year of the best bacon you'll ever taste, but for a limited time. It's spelled MOINK box.com/MeidasTouch. That's moinkbox.com/MeidasTouch. And here, Democratic Congress member Robert Garcia took to the House floor on Thursday, and here's what he had to say. Play this clip.
Yesterday, I sat in on the Hunter Biden deposition for hours. Republicans once again proved and provided zero evidence, failing to show any sort of link between Hunter Biden and the president. No links between those business dealings. This entire case is a political stunt and a joke. Donald Trump ordered House Republicans to smear President Biden. They tried and failed. But I want to remind everyone about the real White House crime family. Why did Saudi Arabia give Jared Kushner $2 billion billion with a B, just months after he left the Trump White House? And why did the Saudis spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at Trump properties while he was still the president? We also know that Jared Kushner used his cushy White House job to secure a $100 billion arms deal for Saudi Arabia and did other favors as well. Now, some members of the majority actually agree that this was unethical. And in fact, a few weeks ago, Jared Kushner was asked by a reporter about his grift. He responded, "Are we still really doing this?" Yes, Jared, we are still really doing this. The American people deserve answers. I rise yet again to urge my colleagues across the aisle to answer our calls and subpoena Jared Kushner's companies once and for all. We are not stopping, and we demand answers. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back my time.
And here's what Democratic Congress member Jared Moskowitz had to say. Play the clip.
When we sit here, we hear our colleagues bring up certain things like, oh, the Biden family took money from a foreign entity, right? And it's just like, well, really? I mean, do they really not know that Jared Kushner took $2 billion from the Saudis? I mean, by the way, they go on Twitter and blame the Saudis for 9/11. But then Jared Kushner, who, by the way, was not a wealth expert before he worked in the White House, nor was he a Middle East expert before he worked there, gets $2 billion from the Saudis, and they don't have any questions. And I just think that the American people recognize that they have no credibility. It's why the stuff they've been selling in this committee for 9 months has not translated, which is why they got to start it all over again. You don't have any credibility when you only want to look at one side of the coin, right?
Here, by the way, is Jared Kushner receiving an award right here from the Hungarian Order of Merit back in 2022. And you know that Viktor Orban from Hungary is basically a Putin proxy trying to interfere with American foreign policy. Watch Jared Kushner get this award. This was from September 2022. Play this clip.
És most adom át, ez itt az érdemkereszt, különböző eseményeken lehet viselni, különböző dresscode-hoz illően. Remélem, hogy fel tudod majd néha venni. Köszönöm szépen.
Here's Donald Trump praising Viktor Orban. Play the clip.
There's a great man, a great leader in Europe, Viktor Orban. He's the prime minister of Hungary. He's a very great leader, very strong man. Some people don't like him because he's too strong. It's nice to have a strong man running your country, but he...
And just take a look at this questioning from Democratic Congress member Eric Swalwell of Hunter Biden. Hey, Hunter. This is from the deposition. Anytime your father was in government prior to the presidency or before, did he ever operate a hotel? Hunter Biden. No, he's never operated a hotel. Okay, Swalwell. So he's never operated a hotel where foreign nationals spent millions of dollars at that hotel while he was in office? Hunter Biden. No, he's not. Congressmember Swalwell. Did your father ever employ in the Oval Office any direct family member to also work in the Oval Office? Hunter Biden. My father has never employed any family members to my knowledge. Congressmember Swalwell. While your father was president, did anyone in the family receive 41 trademarks from China the way Ivanka did? Hunter Biden, no. Congressmember Swalwell. As president and the leader of the party, has your father ever tried to install you or any person as the chairperson of the party, like a daughter-in-law or anyone else in the family? Hunter Biden, no. And I don't think that anyone in my family would be crazy enough to take the chairperson position at the DNC. Congressmember Eric Swalwell. Has your father ever in his time as an adult been fined $355 million by any state that he worked in? Hunter Biden, no, he's not, thank God. Congressmember Swalwell. Anyone in your family ever strike a multi-billion-dollar deal with the Saudi government while your father was in office? Hunter Biden, no. Congressmember Swalwell, that's all I've got. By the way, here's a clip of Donald Trump spreading conspiracies about 9/11. Play the clip.
You're so closely associated with the city of New York. Yeah. You, of all people, understand the passion surrounding 9/11. What do you say to those family members who protested earlier this week and will be doing so again on Friday?
Well, nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11, unfortunately, and they should have, as to the maniacs that did that horrible thing to our city, to our country, to the world. So nobody's really been there, but I can tell you that there are a lot of really great people that are out here today, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to celebrate, and money's going to charity. A lot of money's going to charity. And you have really the best players in the world, many of the best players in the world, and soon you'll probably have all of them.
Folks, we need to take collectively this pro-democracy movement that you're a part of. Let's take the power back from the gatekeepers in the media. Let's just show the facts like this, and let's make clear that what's going on in that Trump crime family is the real issue. And not because it's a catchy slogan, but because Jared Kushner got $3 billion from the Middle East to undermine our foreign policy here and to cause you and me and all Americans harm so that people like Jared Kushner and Donald Trump and Ivanka could rip us all off and screw us. I'm pissed about that. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.